بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, today we'll continue our talk in regards to the lives of the Sahaba. Where we left off last week, we talked about the Battle of Yarmouk and how the Muslims fought in this battle under the leadership of Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anh. Even though Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anh, he received the letter about the passing away of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh during this battle, but he kept that secret to himself at that time in order to not bring down the morals of the Muslim army at that time. And at the same time, there was a lot of lessons that we can see and learn how the different khulafa, even Abu Bakr himself, also reshuffle the leaderships of the army, and how the Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim took that, instead of taking it personally, it was more of a, because whatever they were doing, it was in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence, that kind of reshuffling did not bother him at all. As a matter of fact, it pushed them more to continue the task that they started. And now, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, when he passed away, so inshallah today we'll talk about the passing away of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, how he passed away, and election of, if you want to call the word election, or of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu to be the next Khalifa of the Muslimin. And the term Amir al-Mu'mineen was coined in the time of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. As we know, when we say that this term, expression, Khalifatul Rasul, what it means is the successor of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and that was Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. And the next Khulafa or Khalifa, if you want to call Abu Bakr, Umar would have been called Khalifatul Rasul. And you can see that how this successor of the Rasul will continue on, and then that title would have got longer and longer and longer down the road. Hence, in the time of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anh, a term that was coined was Amir al-Mu'mineen. And of course, in Islam, those terms that have already existing meaning, we don't use those terms in Islam. Like, for example, in the place where we implement the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, we would not be calling the head of the state as the president or the prime minister and so on and so forth, because these terms, these labels carry different meanings. Hence, we have to stick with what Sharia allows. So when it comes to Imam, as a hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam talks about the term, or Sultan, or Amir, these terms are used, and these terms do not have any other meaning than what Islam is defining, and it has general meaning otherwise. So Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, he became sick in the Jumada al-Akhirah of the 13th year of the Hijrah. So it's about 2 years and about 2 months after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam passed away. And when he got sick, he realized that this sickness that he is going through is his terminal sickness. He called for the doctors to check on him, and he realized that the sickness he's going through is the terminal one. Hence, he called up the Muslims, and he said, "Verily, as you can see, quote, as you can see, I have been afflicted with a severeness, and I feel certain that because of the severity of my condition, I will soon die. Therefore, Allah has released you from the pledge that you have made to me and my covenant with you," which is the covenant of being the Khalifa over the Muslimin. "And Allah has returned your affairs to you, so appoint yourself whomsoever you wish. Indeed, if you choose your new leader while I am alive, you will be less likely to differ among yourselves after I am." Now, he allowed the Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim to go to among themselves and start thinking of or consulting each other, do the shura, who should be the next Khalifa after Abu Bakr passes away. Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim, they start talking to each other. Whoever they asked, he did not want to be. Because the Sahaba, they understood the severity of the responsibility. When you are all the Muslims, all the people under you, Muslims and even non-Muslims. So you are caretaker of your subjects on such a huge state. So Sahaba, they understood that it means that huge responsibility means huge accountability as well. Hence nobody wanted to take the position. So they returned back to Abu Bakr Siddiq and they mentioned that this is what happened. So why don't you choose somebody for us? So now here, look, this is, now you appoint a Khalifa through a process called Bay'ah, or giving the oath of allegiance, of pledge allegiance. That's the process Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown through Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came into power by taking the Bay'ah from the people of Yathrib. And then we see Abu Bakr took the Bay'ah in the Saqifa Bani Sa'ida. And then we see that now when Abu Bakr was on the deathbed, now Umar was the one, Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, he nominated. Sometime when we look at his nomination, some of the people think of it as if Abu Bakr is the one, he just elected the Khalifa behind him and he became the Khalifa. No, look at what's happening here. First of all, the Ansar and the Muhajirin, specifically the ones who were the Akabir Sahaba, the great Sahaba who were still alive, from the immigrants and from the helpers, they were asked first. And then they are the one who came back to Abu Bakr and they wanted Abu Bakr to elect or nominate one of them. And mere nomination of Abu Bakr Siddiq was not sufficient to make him a Khalifa. But anyways, Abu Bakr, when they asked him, why don't you look for somebody? So now Abu Bakr, he started consulting one by one. He was already asked the Sahaba to consult among each other. Now he started consulting one by one. One of the Sahabi first he asked was Abdurrahman bin Auf radiallahu anh. He was one of the early Sahaba who entered into the fold of Islam, and he actually entered the fold of Islam through Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh. And he was, as we are aware of, one of the richest people among the Muslims at that time. And when he asked, Abu Bakr asked him about Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh. So he said, tell me about Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh. And his response was, in regard to what you're asking about, you know better than us. And we know Abu Bakr and Umar were very close to each other. To the point, whenever many of the times we read the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there, and with Rasulullah was Abu Bakr and Umar. And you find a hadith like that over and over. So they were always with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it seems like. To the point, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam referred to Umar and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhuma as his two wazirs on the earth. As one of the hadith says, he has two wazirs in the heavens, which is Jibreel and Mikael, and two on the earth, which are Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhuma. When we say wazir, by the way, because linguistically nowadays, especially in Urdu language, and sometimes in Arabic also, when you say wazir have a different connotation. You think of it as a minister or something. That's not what it means over here. When we talk about wazir in this context was, of course, they were not wazir in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were mu'awin. When we say mu'awin means they were the assistants, the ones who were helping Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Similarly, Umar radiallahu anh was a mu'awin to Abu Bakr Siddiq when Abu Bakr was a Khalifa. And he was so close in helping Abu Bakr. Some of the reports talk about the Sahaba sometimes could not distinguish who's the real Khalifa, Abu Bakr or Umar. Even though it was well known, Abu Bakr was a Khalifa. But from the outlook, that's what it felt like. So anyways, Abdurrahman bin Auf said, you know Umar better than us. Then Abu Bakr's response was, even then, tell me your opinion. What you think of Abu Umar to be the next one, taking over the charge of the Muslim. And then his response was that he said that he is by Allah better than what you think of him. Subhanallah. Look at the way he's presenting the personality of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. That whatever you think, even though you go so close to him, from inside, he is better than that. Meaning, his private life, that he keeps it away from normal people, he is better than what he shows in public. Then, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, then he reached out to Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu. He said, listen, tell me about Umar ibn Khattab. And his response was similar. You know about him better than anyone else. Abu Bakr said, even then. Now, Uthman's response was, by Allah, what I know about him is that his secret, private life is better than his open life. And his open public life. And there is no one among us that is equal to him. That's what Uthman said about Umar ibn Khattab. Then he reached out to Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu. And if you pay attention to these names were actually the leaders within their own communities, within their own tribes. Which is, in Arabic, there's another term used, which is Ahlul Halli wal Aqd. Halli wal Aqd, this term means these are the movers and shakers of a society. When they make a decision, people follow. And this is how the bay'ah is also taken in Islam. The one who are al-Halli wal Aqd, these are the people who give the bay'ah to the Khalifa, going to be the Khalifa, which is called Bay'atul Inaqad. That this establish the Khalifa as the Khalifa. And after that is called Ba'atul Am, which is on the neck of all the people, the regular subject, the Ummah of the Muslimin. That they can get the Bay'ah, or at least they have the Bay'ah on their neck and they do the submission to that Amir. So this election, even though people elect the Khalifa to rule over them, and of course, in the democracy also, people elect a ruler, but there's a huge difference. They're two completely different things. So let's confuse by that. In the case of democracy, people elect the people to make the laws on their behalf. They are the one who become the humans become the legislators. In the case of Islam, you elect a leader, so he will implement the deen of Allah on you. That's a huge difference among them, right? So, inshallah, if the time permits, we can go in more detail about the subject as well some other time, if not today. Okay. Now, Usayd bin Hudayr radiallahu anhu was another leader from the Ansar. And he was from the people who came to Rasulullah in the first and the second bay'ah that was given before Rasulullah migrated from Mecca to Medina. And Usayd bin Hudayr was a personality that him and Sa'ad bin Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, when they became Muslim together back through Mus'ab ibn Umair radiallahu anhu, when Rasulullah sent him for doing the da'wah prior to his arrival in Medina, we find that they went back to their clans and they told them that we are not going to talk to you until you accept Islam. And by the sunset, all the tribe are Muslim except one person, Usayram, and later on he also became Muslim. Okay, and Usayram, there's a quick story on the side. He's the Sahabi who, when he took the Shahada and became a Shaheed without praying a single rak'ah, and he was Shaheed. And Rasulullah, he did little, but he achieved a lot. So, anyways, moving forward, then Rasulullah, Abu Bakr Siddiq, radiallahu anhu, he can ask these Sahaba who were the leadership position among the Ansar and Muhajirin. So, Usayd bin Hudayr, his response was different than the other Sahaba. So then he went to Sa'id bin Zayd radiallahu anhu. Sa'id bin Zayd radiallahu anhu, another famous Sahabi, he was a cousin of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, and he was married to the sister of Umar ibn Khattab as well. Now, he asked him, said the same thing. Then he asked major Sahaba from Ansar and Muhajirin who were there. And all of them except one report that talks about is Talha bin Ubaidullah radiallahu anhu. He is the one whose response was a bit different. I will not going to say negative or anything, but I'll read his words, inshallah, at least a translation of that. When he asked him, and his response was to Abu Bakr, what will you say to your Rabb when he asks you about why you appointed Umar over us, even though you knew all along about his harsh demeanor. Abu Bakr said, and now he was lying down, he was sick. He said, help me up. He wants to get up and respond to his comment. And he said that, is it by Allah you are trying to frighten me? Verily, one is truly a loser if one acts regarding your affairs in a wrongful, oppressive manner. I say, Allah, I appointed for them the best people. Meaning, talking about Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. One of the reports says, Ali was at that time, when Talha bin Ubaidullah was saying that. And after, when Abu Bakr was responding, and Ali concurred with Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he accepted Umar was one of the best people among the Muslimin at that time. The reason I am specifically bringing here, and also I can bring his speech also when Abu Bakr passed away, that will show you the love that Ali and Umar, Abu Bakr and Uthman have, mutual love of each other. Because sometimes all this sectarianism that has been pushed through the throats of the Muslim, which actually does not exist, the way it has been pushed down the throats. You find that those Sahaba, they really love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And hence, we should avoid these kind of, some of the, I would say, like a garbage kind of information that have been spread about as if they had some sort of friction among each other. And it has a lot to do with the Orientalists also. They spread lots of information about the history of Islam in the wrong way. Like when we were talking about when Umar radiallahu anh became the Khalifa, one of the first things he did was he pulled Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anh from his position of leader in the army. And the Orientalists, they tried to say that, oh, they were fighting with each other, they had grudge against each other, hence he did that. While Umar radiallahu anh, as we talked about last week also, that he had his own reasons, that he wanted Muslims to understand the victory comes from Allah Ta'ala. It's not Khalid bin Walid who brings the victory. So he wants to make sure that there is no wrong ideas that start spreading among the Muslims that because Khalid is present in any of the battlefield, they were winning the battles, hence he is the cause of the victory. No, he's not the cause of the victory. Allah is the one who gives the victory to whoever he wishes. Okay, now, after that, when he was done with these Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim, their opinions was in the favor of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh to be taken as the Khalifa. Then Abu Bakr wrote a letter that had to be read to the Muslimin out loud about that what Abu Bakr was thinking about or nominating Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh as the next Khalifa. Now, after that, one of the things to understand, why Abu Bakr was so persistent on this idea of that Umar should be the next one. Abu Bakr understood one thing, which is according to, perhaps as the reporters talk about that, does not say that Abu Bakr specifically quoted this hadith, but this hadith may have an impact on Abu Bakr's decision. The hadith that says, Rasulullah says, فَوَاللَّهِ لَا الْفَقْرَ أَخْشَى عَلَيْكُمْ, that by Allah, I do not fear of faqr, the poverty. I do not fear of the poverty for you, the Muslims. وَلَكِنْ أَخْشَى عَلَيْكُمْ أَن تُصْبَطَ عَلَيْكُمُ الدُّنْيَا كَمَا بُسِطَتْ عَلَى مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ. But I fear the abundance of the wealth for you, as it was a fitna, as it was a trial and tribulation for the previous people. فَتَنَافَسُوهَا كَمَا تَنَافَسُوهَا, the way they were running towards it, and you will be running towards it. وَتُحْلِكَكُمْ كَمَا أَحْلَكْتُمْ. He said, the way they were destroyed, and you will be destroyed because of that, because of the wealth. And he knew Umar radiallahu anh very well. Hence, because Umar was the one, as one of the hadith also talks about, that talks about there will be, there's a door that is blocking all the fitan. And the Sahaba asked, Ya Rasulullah, was that door going to be open or will be broken? And Rasulullah said it will be broken. And it was mentioned that that door was Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh. So all these trials and tribulations were going to come to the Muslims were blocked by Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh. And breaking of that door was the martyrdom of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. Okay. And about Umar radiallahu anhu, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that أيها يا ابن الخطاب, O son of Khattab, والذي نفسي بيدي, by the one whose hand is in my soul, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is taking the oath. And he said that whenever shaitan sees you're taking a path, he changes his path. Shaitan is scared of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. So now, based on these things about Umar al-Khattab, Abu Bakr, he took the decision about Umar, and that was his response. When Sahaba asked, you pick one for us, does not mean just because Abu Bakr picked one, but after that, the Sahaba radhiyallahu alayhim, they gave the bay'ah to Umar, and we'll talk about that as well inshallah soon. Now, after that, now Abu Bakr had to talk to Umar. So now Abu Bakr went to Umar radhiyallahu anhuma and told him about that this is what he wants. Right away, flat answer for Umar, he doesn't want to take this position. Umar did not want to take this position like the other Sahaba were doing. Because they understood well, you are accountable for all the things. Today, we find people are spending millions and billions of dollars to take these powerful positions. Because when you go dig deeper, you see that for them, these positions are to avail as much as you can in this dunya. While the Sahaba, radhiyallahu alayhim, they understood well that it is not what you're going to get in this dunya. As a matter of fact, you are going to be questioned about all who are your subjects on the Day of Judgment. Hence, they had the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take this kind of a position. Hence, Umar right away, the flat answer for Umar was, he doesn't want this. Now, Abu Bakr started threatening him. He took out the sword. And he's not like by force, he made him a Khalifa, but he reminded him that he is the one who is the most suitable for that position. And hence, Umar agreed later on. And now, Abu Bakr, he asked, after he prepared the people and Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, it's not that he was only looking for all the worldly means to secure a position for Umar ibn Khattab. Rather, at the end, he was going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's making dua for Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh when he takes this position as well. And after he did that, he also he made sure that people understand this, that he went to people and asked them, are you pleased with who I am choosing? Which is Umar ibn Khattab. And the people said, yes, we are. Then he said, I am choosing Umar ibn Khattab behind me. And then he asked for them to obey Umar, because that's what the purpose of the bay'ah is. And their response was, we hear and we obey. We say, فَقَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا, that we hear and we obey, meaning whatever Umar will be asking for, they will be obeying him. After that, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, when he was going to be appointed, let's remember that this appointment, or the nomination, if you want to call it, from Abu Bakr, it was completed only by the bay'ah given by the people after Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh passed away, and the Sahaba radhiyallahu alayhim, they gave the bay'ah to Umar. Remember that if Abu Bakr's appointment was sufficient, then why they have to give the bay'ah then? Hence, the thing that completes this contract of the Khalifa over the people and Muslims is through the bay'ah process. Now, bay'ah process can take a style of going and asking or going and taking the vote from the people. That's a different story. But this bay'ah is for what? It is for that Khalifa is going to be ruling by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. Okay. So, and that was the case in the case of Umar, that again, there's a term I want to make sure people understand. There's a term called Ahlul Hall al-Waqd. These are the people, movers and shakers. They are the one who agreed with this decision. After that, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, after talking all that, now he gave the advice to Umar radiallahu anh. And this advice is something I want you guys to pay attention, and I will actually read through it because it is such a profound and deep advice. He said, O Umar, ittaqillah, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and know that Allah has deeds by day, deeds which He does not accept if they performed at night. So there's a time for the deeds. The day deeds have to be done in the daytime, and He has deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He has deeds by night, and He does not accept them if they are performed by day. Then He said, and He does not accept nafilah, voluntary ibadat of the deeds, until obligatory deeds are first performed. You know, sometimes shaitan comes in and he wants to mess up our minds. You're trying to do an obligatory action that Allah has obliged you to do, a fard or a sunnah, a fard or a wajib. And then sometimes people get engaged into the recommended actions while they are not fulfilling the fard. See, it seemingly looks like you're doing something good. But abandoning the fard is not allowed, even at the stake of doing something recommended action, because the fard must be fulfilled. Hence, even Abu Bakr, he gave this advice to Umar radiallahu anh as well. And he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept voluntary deeds until obligatory deeds are first performed. If a person's scale is heavy on the day of resurrection, then that is because he followed the truth in the abode of this world, even though doing so was heavy upon him, even though it was difficult. Only reason our scale will be heavy, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who will have his scale will be heavy, it will be given in his right hand. These are the people, are the ones who have done good deed in this world. And they may be difficult. As for tomorrow, it is only right that a scale should be heavy if the truth is placed in it. And if a person's scale is light on the day of resurrection, then that is because he followed falsehood, batil. And also in regard to tomorrow, if it is only right for a scale to be light if falsehood is placed in it. Verily, Allah has mentioned the inhabitants of the paradise, and He mentioned them by the best of their deeds, and He overlooked the worst of their deeds. So if you remember them, now He's giving another piece of advice. Even if you remember these verses and you think about it, you think about Ahlul Jannah, He said, then say, verily I fear that I will not catch up with them. Subhanallah. Talking about people like Abu Bakr, giving the advice to people like Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, that even when you hear about the people of Jannah, don't become arrogant. Think of it, you may not enter there. So you will have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there. And then he said, indeed Allah mentioned the people of the hellfire, and He mentioned them by worst of their deeds, and He rejected the best of their deeds. So if you remember them, then say, verily I hope that I will not be one of them. See that? I will not be one of them. So it's the hope and fear, both have to be there. If you become, and then he says actually, that you should do that, what is mentioned, in order to remain both hopeful and fearful, upon a state in which you do not place a false hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and which you do not lose hope of Allah's mercy. So you do not become like this, that, oh, Allah is all merciful, hence I can do whatever I want now. And don't become so fearful that lose the hope completely, that you are going to be the people of hellfire, hence what can I do now? So I'll just do whatever I can in this dunya now. No, you should have both hope and fear at the same time. And that is what keeps you straight. That was the advice that was given by Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu to Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. I'm going to quickly go over just a couple of more things and inshallah we'll stop. Then Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, when he was about to pass away, now he asked his family members, go find out how much more wealth I have compared to what I had when I became the Khalifa. They said, they went, they did the inventory, they came back, they said, only thing we found is one camel and one slave. That these are the only two things we find which is extra than before you became the Khalifa. He said, okay, after I die, return both of them back to the treasury. It does not belong to me, give it to Umar, he will take it back. Then he also counted how much money that he has taken, which was forced by Umar bin Khattab, by the way, in the beginning of his Khilafah, because he was going to work. Became a Khalifa, is going to work and make the money for his family. He said, if you work, who's going to take care of the affairs of the people? So he said, okay, whatever you need, we will make sure that you get it. So he counted, it was about 6,000 dirhams that he took as a stipend for not working because he was working for the people at that time. Subhanallah. And and then what he did, he asked, find out my fulla garden that he had, orchard he had. He said, give that to the treasury in return of the 6,000 dirham I took. Subhanallah. He did not want to take a single penny or flus, whatever they call it. He did not want to take anything from that. So on the day of judgment or at any time, people would question Umar's integrity, radiallahu anh, Abu Bakr's integrity, radiallahu anh. And Umar even was saying, Ya Abu Bakr, you are making it very difficult for the people to follow you. Because if the people will come later on, they may not be able to do what you are doing. This is tough. This is tough. Compare this. This is the leadership we have. This is the leadership that we should be thinking of having it back. This is the kind of leadership. Yes, we are not talking about resurrecting Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh or Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh. We are talking about these personalities, these traits, these characteristics. And that can be found, inshallah, if people work for it and they be able to at least try. There is the blessing of Sahaba we cannot reach, we know that. Imagine that because of them, all of us probably came to the fold of Islam through our generation, they became Muslim. And then all of the good deeds that we are doing, they are the ones who are getting part of it. And nothing will be taken away from us, of course. Now, that's one thing. And then Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, when he passed away, he was also 63 years old as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he craved that he would also die on the same day as Monday, as Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, and he also passed away on Monday. And upon his request, he was buried next to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh was the one who led the janazah. And this is what you will find in general. You find the leaders, they were leading the prayers, they were leading the janazah, they were leading the Eid prayer, they were leading the Hajj. Imagine today, we find some of the scholars, some of our political leaders in Pakistan, I remember, they were trying to recite Surah Al-Ikhlas, yeah? Probably some of you have seen those videos. And could not recite Surah Al-Ikhlas. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدَ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. And multiple times when he was not able to do that, look at his response for that, the excuse. He said, oh, somebody gave me, wrong, it was written wrongly on the paper that was given to him. These are the kind of leaders, unfortunately, some of the leaders that we have. And look, the Sahaba, radhiyallahu alayhim, the kind of life they live. And this is where we should get the lesson from. We should not be deceived by all those corrupt leaderships who are implementing the corrupt systems over the Muslims and non-Muslims alike. We have something that can be, that can save the mankind, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, which is Al-Islam, from the creator of the heavens and the earth, from Allah Azza wa Jal. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك